Hi everyone. Okay, into today's video, I'm going to talk about the power of the pioneer archetype for your business and how the pioneer archetype can help us move forward in our business, can help us explore new ideas, can help us move in a new energy. How the pioneer archetype is very much has aspects of the explorer archetype. And it also has, I suppose, in some ways, the archetype of there's elements of the creator archetype and the innovator within the pioneer aspect as well, and how these things can really help us moving into the new age and help us deal with challenges that we have in a business, challenges that we may have as we change and evolve spiritually, as even we evolve in how we work, even the tools and techniques that we use. Okay, so let's look at the Pioneer archetype card from Caroline Mizzy's cards. Okay, so this is the Pioneer archetype. Okay, so I'm just going to put that up there. Now, I'm going to read Caroline's interpretation of the. I don't always read because sometimes it's how we're using the cards, and basically I'm using it more to do with business and marketing, and there is some other aspects that I'm using this for. So, in relation to this card, under Carly's card, the category comes it can embodies the explorer, the settler, the pilgrim, and the innovator, right? And it has archetypal traits, an energy of when we discover or explore new territory, whether externally or internally. It also can help initiate innovative fashions, art, music, and literature. And it can also, if you think about science, technology, there are so many elements of where the pioneer comes in, right? Because the pioneer brings forward new ideas, or as I said, explores new other opportunities. Now, one of the big things about the shadow pioneer is it can manifest as a compulsive need to abandon the present, move on, and never settle anywhere. So that can be physically, or even kind of internally. It can be spiritually, it can be mentally, emotionally. Where sometimes there can be an aspect, if you think about the pioneer, they can throw out the baby the bathwater, so they can just abandon something and just move, right? Or they move forward and they're constantly moving and seeking new things, seeking new places, seeking a new it's like maybe new ideas or new possibilities, but they're not staying, they're not ever fully committed. Now, sometimes some of you will see this where you have clients where you know that the client has constantly moved from healer to healer, but it's the same thing that they're doing, therapist to therapist, but they never do the work, right? So they never, when they go, they maybe only come to you one or two sessions, then they go to somebody for one or two. And there's different layers to that. Sometimes it's people not feeling yet they've got the right person for what they need. Or maybe, there's an aspect of they maybe got what they needed in the other, but there is type of when I worked in council organisation, you saw common denominators where there was maybe councillors who worked in different organisations. And there would be people who for years, 10, 20 years, would just constantly move about and they would go to every councillor was in maybe a local 20, 30-minute area. And they were just going for one. It's almost like there was no commitment there, right? And it's like sometimes people in business, they'll dabble in this, they'll dabble in that. And even in the modalities, they'll dabble in this, dabble that, and they're not fully committed on one level. Sometimes they haven't fully found what they're seeking. Sometimes there is something deeper going on where there is a lack of commitment. They're not facing certain elements. They're not willing to do the work, master something, or go deeper, right? But the light aspect of the pioneer is really a powerful archetype at the moment. And I'll tell you why, because we're at a pivotal time where there is so much going on in humanity, right? There is so much going on in society and in the world where the old constructs, the old way of doing things, the kind of things that are not working, right? Things that we want to leave behind, to bring in the new world, they're becoming very obvious. We know that there's lots of things that don't work. There's certain people that we don't want to be leading as their influences, right? There's certain energetic patterns within us all that we want to leave behind. There's certain habits, there's certain shadow traits that we want to leave behind. There's maybe things in our business that we want to leave behind. That might even be like some of the clients that you work with. You want to move forward, right? So the pioneer archetype can really help us move forward in our business into new areas that we've not explored before, or take that next journey in our spiritual journey. So when we think about the spiritual journey, right, the spiritual journey is very much the road less traveled, and very much in many ways the road not explored. Like, we haven't explored this thing. It's like when you completely are creating a soul aligned business, you are creating it from the soul. It's not just a term that people use. I know there is a lot of marketing coaches now. I've started to see this. I've used these terms for over 10 years. I've seen a high majority of business coaches using these as trendy words just to get clients. But the reality is, if you genuinely want to create a soul aligned business, it's about being soul led. It's having the strength and courage to surrender to the soul and to be spiritually led, right? And spiritually led at a soul level. So to be able to do that, you have to be able to connect with the soul at a deep level. A lot of people are not soul led. They're actually so disconnected from the soul. And I have my own theories on this, but they are theories. But if you can't connect at a soul level, you're going to struggle to know what your soul really wants. The ego often is always overtaken. And of course, the ego gets in the way with us all, but it overtakes. But when you can really step into the soul and build a deeper connection at a soul level and a spiritual level, it's easier to surrender, to be a pioneer, and understand that each day can be different, that you're not mapping everything out, right? If you are trying to map out everything in your business and to have all these goals and have it all matched out and set out, you're driving your business from the ego, right? Now, I'm not saying that, of course, it's good to have intention and focus and have certain dreams and goals, and I'm not saying that, but if you do not allow for the universe and spirit and your soul to guide you on a day-to-day basis, you are not taking the road less traveled, and you're not being that pilgrim or that pioneer. You're not allowing yourself to see the magic of possibilities and to move forward. When we're in the pioneer energy, the pioneer helps move through and be a kind of explore areas that have not been explored before. Even if it's just us as an individual, we have not experienced certain things before, right? And in your business, you're the pioneer of your own business. And a solo line business does things in its own unique way. It does not copy someone else's path. It does not copy someone else's role. It does not just copy someone's title. It does not try to be like someone else. They, you're mapping out, you're going on your own journey. And the way that we can break free from the old 3D in business is with more pioneer energy, more creative energy, more innovative energy, right? The ability to pioneer new ideas, the ability to pioneer new possibilities, the ability to pioneer um, and explore and see past how we even see our own work, right? And one of the things that as you go along your spiritual journey and you evolve and even your consciousness up levels, in many ways you recognize that you don't really know anything. And that most of what you ever taught just doesn't apply. And that's one of the things that, there's a lot of things that we're taught that the more that you evolve, you realize that it's not really 100% truth, right? And there's a lot more layers to things. On some level, there's a simplicity, there can be a simplicity, but what I mean is there is a lot more things understood than we possibly ever imagined. And it's like, if you have the ability to have the pioneer energy within you and explore that and allow it to come through in your business and your market and in your spiritual journey, you come in with an open mind and don't come in with thinking that you have it all sussed out and you know everything, right? And everything that you think is truth. When you have the ability to take each day as it comes and allow the journey to unfold and you allow you to seek new possibilities and to know that one day from the next you might actually be doing something different and that your journey may be completely different than what you planned out, you have the ability to be flexible and you have the ability to move forward and to create great change, right? If you think about the pilgrims and the settlers, even you think of going to America and things like that in different countries, these people went on an adventure, they took a risk, right? So a certain level of the pioneer has to have the ability to take risk. They have to have the ability to also, but because the shadow element of the unhealthy pioneer is not be committed. So they may just want to go on the journey just to experience new things and always seeking, but not ever fully committed to that journey, right? So there has to be commitment. So it's about you being committed to your spiritual journey, committed to your business, committed to your marketing, but being able to see, go through new ideas, be able to do things a bit differently, right? Being open to new ways of doing things. And I've said this for the last few years, particularly I talked about the creatives, that we're going to need the people that are really can help with creative solutions, that can see things outside the box. One of the things that I see so much of is, even when it comes to business and marketing, and I find that a bit frustrating, is that a lot of people are still doing old ways of doing things, or they're making something appear as if it's new ways of doing things, but they're actually just doing carbon copies constantly of everything, right? And in many ways, it's like controlled. It is very much programmed and controlled. It's like what Facebook is suggestion, what's this now? I'm not saying I have ebooks and things like that. I'll talk about etiquette and things and what to do. And what I'm trying to do is help people how to work around the algorithms so that they're actually being seen. But what I'm talking about is when people listen to what they think is a marketing guru and then just copy what they say. I've had so many marketing managers, I've also had VAs who've done things like that, and they've said to me, and they're very new, they're not really like, I've been doing online marketing for 23 years. Well, it's actually over 23 years, right? And you know, you see trends, you see things, there's certain things that always stay the same. They're scientific, there's, you know, there's psychology behind it. There's some things that shift, the trends or whatever. But there's also this thing that there's always the pioneers that make the breakthroughs, that actually make an impact, that change things, that help shift the collective. And at the moment, people, if we just look at even the AI thing, now, I'm a techie person. I use lots of techie in my business, right? But I also understand the AI and techie things can have nefarious energy, and it can have darker energy, and it can also be designed to, there's many realms to it. There is many realms to it, right? But we're seeing a lot of people who are now just jumping on the AI wagon and creating content, and they're letting a computer create it for them. And they're supposed to be a spiritual business where the business, it's really important that things come from a spiritual perspective, not something that's just been pulled out Google and just coming. Now, I'm not saying you can't use it for certain things. Like I've showed some of my blogging students how they can use certain things if they're creating blogs, try to get keywords or terms to choose things that maybe their audience on a certain subject are writing about and they're passionate about, and they're trying to put in, you know, get the keywords that they've not thought about how they can use things. But if you're going to get AI to write a blog, where's your energetic blueprint in your business? What is really congruent? And to create a soul aligned business is very much ethical and about really putting your heart and soul into it, right? But it's also about bringing an essence of something new. It's been a channel for something new. So when you can understand even the pioneer aspect is channeling through new energy, right? The pioneer is willing to explore and go where someone has never been instead of doing everything exactly the same. Now, when I teach my students to do with the relaxation training, now that's something that I am not going to be, it's something that's going to, the course is going to be the last time this year that I run the accredited training. But one of the things that I teach my students is, you know, obviously I'm very much about safe, effective practice for a lot of reasons. And teaching them lots of other things that sometimes certain training skills don't teach because they don't always see the wider perspective, or they're only coming from one angle, or it's sometimes just to do with money. You know, they're just want to make money, so the course only includes certain things, it doesn't include lots of things. But I'm very much about helping people see the bigger picture and how certain tools and techniques are often better for clients with certain challenges, certain issues, and why use certain things at certain stages and why maybe not. But I also equally, on the other hand of that, I'm very much about once the student has learned and mastered in their own life certain strategies, right, is how to use those things, not just, you know, rip them apart and start, you know, breaking the rules. That's not what I mean, but taking what they've learned and building a business around their unique strengths and what is going to be more aligned with what they're supposed to do and what their clients really need, right? And it's about them forging a business that's going to align ethically with what their essence stands for and how they can do it in a congruent way that feels right. Because, for example, my background, I studied lots of healing modalities, holistic modalities, counselling, psychology, psychotherapy, lots of elements of stress management. I went out and I taught, you know, local education, charity colleges, all that kind of thing, as well as doing my therapies. So I have my own perception of things, my own way of looking at the world, also my own life experiences. But each of my students have their own life experiences, and they're going to have the people that are going to resonate with them. And people that come to them are going to be completely different from who come to me, right? So it's important that they pioneer their own business and forge their own way in the world. And you can only forge your own way in the world by becoming empowered by your own gifts and by connecting at a soul essence, right? So the pioneer archetype is about helping empower you. That you have all of these beautiful gifts within you that you can bring forward, but you don't have to do it exactly the way that someone else done it. Now, yeah, I've seen sometimes in the industry that sometimes people just take things and change it just to try make it look different and get money. They're copying somebody's stuff basically, and they slightly manipulate it. They can use things just to do that, or they try to change it just to make. There's different versions how people just change things for the sake of changing it, and it's not. It's coming from an egoic way. When you're a pioneer and a natural, you're on a pilgrim and you're in a spiritual journey, you're guided forward. And it feels very, very natural. When it feels strained, when you know you're not maybe quite, you're maybe taking, so I've had situations and I'm always kind of feeling comfortable when I see someone who comes to me as a client who's copied something. And they've just copied it and they've tried to just slightly. So it's somebody else's content. Now, what that means is they're not trusting their own gifts or skills, or they're trying to build a business on an illusion. So they're not tapping into, there's something going on because they're not tapping into their own power or recognizing their own power, right? When you pioneer in a natural way, you're stepping into your zone. You're in your zone. It's a state of being, and it's easy to pioneer forward because it's like you're being a channel and you have the ability to move forward and see things from a different perspective, but in a very natural state. The shadow element of the pioneer tries to control things. It moves, it's constantly just wanting to be seen to be different or to be seen as the explorer. But it's not, doesn't have any commitment. It jumps from thing to thing, never settles in one place. So it's important to know the difference. Believe me, I'm telling you, the pioneer, the creatives, the innovatives are going to be the people that we're going to really need moving forward, because when we let go of the old, of course, there'll be certain things that naturally start to evolve and change. Constructs will evolve. But there's lots of things at the moment that, because we're so stuck in the old way of doing things and we've done it that long, that we need the creatives, the innovatives, and even the pioneers to come in with these new ideas and this way, to settle into new ideas, to bring through new ideas, and to be able to take us all on a new journey. They help us pioneer and move forward with new innovation. And that also involves how we do things spiritually. Now, for example, I've got a healing device on. Now, I've always been someone that, because I invested highly in my own healing journey, right? From a young age, I've had people use all sorts of high-tech things on me compared to what maybe most people would have access to. And it's just because some of the practitioners that I went to, particularly, a lot of older practitioners who are very experienced, particularly when you go to, like, say, holistic doctors, kinesiologists, excuse me, herbalists and things like that. And I've been on some fascinating machines, and some of the information they can give you is extraordinary. And I love it because a lot of these things they let you see things that you can't maybe sometimes are not picking up, right? And I remember one machine I was on, which the guy was blown away with because he'd said he'd never seen anything. Listen, it was you lay on the bed and it was like a whole print out of what was going on in the body. And I remember he picked up that my skull was the bones and my face were actually pushing in. And there was different things. And he also picked up interesting at the time because, and I hadn't said anything to him, he didn't ask me. One of the things he deliberately done was he didn't ask me. He done the kind of scan first. And it came out at the time I was just actually getting testing for late stage Lyme, and it came up certain things. And it was very interesting, a lot of the things, because I had one advantage that there were some things I already knew. So it was really good for him that I could back up medically that he was right about so many things that he would maybe not always get that feedback from other people. But I've always been fascinated by so much in the holistic industry and interested. And I bought a little biomedic, what's called a biomedic Trinity, and that would be about over 6 months ago. I'm trying to think, right? I think it was before Christmas, can't remember exactly, but I think it was. And I ended up just at the time when I bought it, I didn't have it very long, and my sister-in-law and my mum wasn't very well, so it went elsewhere for a wee while. So I started buying the healing. Now, if you look at a lot of these, all of these are based on sort of kind of some of it old Tesla technology and all different types of energetic technology and quantum technology. But there's a pioneer element of how to use it and how to bring it forward and how to use it to help people, right? And I really do believe for lots of reasons that a lot of modalities that people have been using for years, particularly healing modalities, are going to, I'm not saying, I don't really want to say null and void. That's not exactly what I mean. But what I mean is things are going to change because it's like, if you think of technology adapts with society and the needs of society. And if you look at the last 100 years and how much consumption of people have more heavy metals in them than they've ever had, they have more toxic ingredients. If you think about all the things that people consume and let being injected into them, the amount of medicine, the amount of hormones that are put in the water, if you think about the pill and all sorts of things that go on, how much that's in the water table. How much even we see this like, biochemicals and toxins and manufactured all sorts of things. Even if you look at our food, we've got scientists who play with our food now, who actually basically manipulate our food and genetically modify our food. So we've now got all this going on where it's like man's playing God, right? And so what you've got is a requirement for us to change and shift how we work, even as healers and therapists, to accommodate some of the challenges. And that requires us to have an open perspective. And one of the things about the pioneer archetype too, it's like the innovative, if you're very innovative, I can't even say the right word, innovator, right? And a creator, you have to be able to think through the box. You have to have the ability to have an open mind and be able to not get too attached to what you have been taught or one idea. And I know that I'm very fortunate that because of my own journey, I never completely, how could you say, got hooked on the one modality was definitely right, what they said and how they were taught and what it was based on. I never ever took anything as 100% truth because my experiences sometimes was completely opposite. And because I explored so many different modalities as a teacher and a client, I could see where there was maybe gaps of awareness, gaps of insight, and then also working with so many different spiritual teachers with so many different ideas, who had so many different experiences. It helped me keep an open mind. And the pioneer archetype, when we have the open mind, helps us be open to new opportunities. It helps the crown to be open to new ideas. It helps us to trust as well. that there's more coming. There's always newness, there's always freshness, there's always something new, right? When we have a closed crown, we have a closed channel, we can, there can be this lack of connection, lack of trust in the universe, right? But when you are more open, it's easy to create. A lot of people are always so surprised at how much content I can create, right? And how many different courses I have. But I'm a natural creator, and also I have to say, I come from a family background. My dad created, he was a bit of an, what you would call, in his business, you would call him, did his own innovation. He created his own type of machine, right? My sister, her business for many years was an innovator. She was a designer, but she innovated, and that's what she called, she was innovation was part of her business, her business. So I come from a background where we were encouraged from a young age to be innovative, right? Creative, and to not get stuck in the one way of doing things. So the pioneer archetype, the pioneer energy, the pioneer traits are so powerful and can really help us tap in to new possibilities and help us really at this time see hope, see energy, and always recognize that there's always something new. And there is always a new adventure at the other side, and that there's new possibilities. There's new things we've not explored. There's new solutions, okay? And it also helps us to remember that tomorrow's a new day, the next hours, the next, the future is always it's part of that spiritual pilgrim, that spiritual journey, and it's about the road less travelled, right? It's not about going the pathway that everybody else has. The greatest innovators in the world completely went off on another pathway than anyone else did. Okay, I hope that helps. So for those of you who have, for example, the strong spiritual seeker or explorer archetype, or even the creative archetype, right? Artist, innovative archetype, that kind of thing. It's going on the designers. You will find it a lot easier often to tap in to the pioneer. So, feel into that pioneer archetype. Think about how that pioneer archetype could fit in more into your energetic, your own life, your own path, your business. Even sometimes if you look at your own ancestry, look at your family and maybe your ancestors, how they forged new ways into new places and new journeys, and how they created new lives for themselves. And that's just one example. Okay, bye-bye, everyone. Oh, and I've meant to say, each month, if you don't know, I always run a coaching and healing archetypal and coaching healing session. You'll always find it on the Spiritual Marketing Club website. It's alive. Now, if you are a member of the Spiritual Marketing Club membership, right? If you are on the gold or platinum, right, it's going to change. You will automatically get access to archetypal coaching and healing sessions, and you also get access to the archetypal coaching healing sessions if you are in the Lightworkers Toolkit membership. Okay, so there's a new change to that. So that's a great way for you to be able to either of those memberships, you will be able to automatically, when you sign up, you will be able to we kind of add you at the background, as long as you make sure that you've signed up well before that day that the session's been delivered. We automatically add you to the back, and you get an automated message so that you can sign up and join me for the lives, and you'll be access to the recordings as long as you are a member of those memberships. And in each of those sessions, I explore different aspects of archetypes that can support you energetically in your business, help clear certain traits, shadow traits that may be holding you back, because we are all different elements of the archetypes, and also can help you with your client attraction, because there's certain things that sometimes can get in the way with our clients when there's some shadow elements showing up or we were sabotaging ourselves. So, there is so much more. And also, obviously, if you want to take your business forward, more in your business and your market, and the Spiritual Marketing Club membership has a plethora of business and marketing courses, which include aspects of archetypal branding. Okay, have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.